Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the build. I grabbed some footage and I thought I'd share it with you. It's been a few weeks since we've done one of these. I did kind of take a few days away from Transport Fever 2 and editing videos as a whole. And funnily enough, had to invest in some better food and supplements. And of course, catch up on some sleep. Some of you already know I'm a bit of a night owl. And for whatever reason, my ideas and inspiration seems to pop up into my head at around about the 11 PM mark. And then that's it, I'm off on one and I can't sleep until it's at least written down. This, of course, doesn't go well while still working part-time as a hairdresser. First up, as you can see, it's our industrial area just outside the capital city of Acton, and it has grown considerably from what was once a simple but complex passenger train junction has now been surrounded by what will become a pretty busy industrial hub. I have made use of old and new cargo assets with a rather large DHL warehouse and some older warehouse that currently house construction materials. I built the cargo terminal using the Ultimate Station mod, mainly because I wanted to see what I could do with it. That may change as the ability to detail it is rather limiting. I do think I prefer the freestyle platform for cargo, if I'm being honest. The terminal station currently serves some Class 68s and some Freightliner 70s. I also thought for a little bit of eye candy, I'd drop in this old GWR train shed asset with a couple of old locomotives parked at it. One of them, I believe, is a Flying Scotsman. I could be wrong, my steam locomotive knowledge isn't that great. In fact, it's non-existent. However, I do remember as a child, for reasons unknown, it was my favourite steam loco, and if memory serves me right, it was my very first locomotive on a Hornby train set I got for Christmas. The buildings around the industry are industry-only zoned using the Advanced Town Builder mod. I have done a video somewhere on that. In fact, I'll link the vid, and it will appear on the top right of this screen about now. And on the far right here, we have a couple of goods factories who are slowly being fed steel and plastic on what is a very new network. So I expect that to take a little bit of time to get going. Eventually, I'd want to use these two buildings and possibly expand on them to feed almost the entire map. But more on how that will work in a bit. Just to the northeast of our international airport, I started work on what will be our major southeast to northeast network. Building this small junction where our current Class 70 Freightliners jump off our slow up-down line. Just above that, you can see our fast up-down lines staying well clear with no switches or signals to allow uninterrupted travel. I've used a mixture of girder bridges and flying junction assets with some weed, gravel and tree texturing. This is a slightly better view of where our Class 70s go. I've started to create a small dedicated stone quarry. It does still need a bit of work, mind you. I've tried to give it a sense of a deep pit by adding the retaining wall up against the cargo station, with a few trucks heading up and down the hill with stone. You'll also see a few truck, container and digger assets dotted about. There is also plenty of room for expansion of the train station itself and the quarry. This will obviously depend on the amount of stone in demand. And just to the north, you can see how far I've got with this northeastern line. Just north of the major industrial area, we have this small Domiance factory, flanked overhead by the high-speed Eurexpress services as they head off into the tunnel. The factory itself is being fed by the stone quarries that we just had a look at. The bypass lines head off north and hook up with what we will call the Midland Main Line. This is where our freight hooks up with that Midland Main Line. On the left tunnel, this is where those freight services feed into the up-down slow. I've also added a small stone quarry for some eye candy. These trucks travel backwards and forwards via road, obviously, to the Domiance factory we recently looked at. That small junction that splits off to the east, well, I'll show you where that goes in a few ticks. Our up-down fast also has a nice flyover junction that is a direct link to the terminal station for some high-speed services that will travel up and connect to the West Midlands and Northwest services. This track transitions to a non-electrified high-speed service. Completely done by design, as I want diesel only on this line, again using a combination of the Flying Junction mod and Zero Height Bridge. So remember when I said give me a few ticks? Welcome to the Acton Super Freight Exchange. Still under construction, of course. The lines we talked about at the Midland Main Line junction carry on heading west. They then curve south slightly, hit a tunnel and emerge out of this compact tunnel itself. The other lines you can see that head off into the other tunnel will be part of our new high-speed freight network. I guess when I hinted at those goods factories feeding almost the entire map, this is what I was leading into. The build itself is using the bog standard cargo station with a few warehouse assets and a collection of branded cargo depots. To me, it's still looking a little bare, but at the same time, I'm reasonably happy with it. Currently, the harbour serves as a coal and iron drop-off point for trains to then take it up via the Midland Main Line to around the Midlands to some steel plants I already have set up. For whatever reason, when creating this area, I started creating a story around it. The country or map needed a high-speed functional hub for all goods. A small station and the harbour have always been in use, but the freight network needed expanding. So construction of this super hub was commissioned. A high-speed hub will only transfer fully manufactured goods to the northeast and northwest of the map, where two slightly smaller hubs will be created to distribute it further. For this station, I took heavy inspiration from the Folkestone Eurotunnel, while using a mixture of the no collision build mod and of course zero height bridge. A high-speed freight line, again taking inspiration from Le Shuttle, will use the Eurotunnel Class 9 locomotives when it becomes operational. I think it will give it a unique feel to the rest of the map. I thought I'd drop this little shot showcasing the freight loops that duck under tunnels so we get a really steady flow of trains with no turnbacks. And I think that is about it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to join Discord. There's a great little community growing on there as well. All things Transport Fever 2 right now. And of course, for anything else like Patreon, private memberships, check out the links in the description below. And I'll see you in the next one.